UFC Vegas 97, Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. We're going to go through every single fight on the card, and I'm going to give my reaction to the results. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, Nathan Fletcher versus Zigomanis Ramaska. Nathan Fletcher gets it done via second-round arm triangle. It was a crazy fight while it lasted. Fletcher came out, got a takedown early, then caught a nasty elbow from the bottom that split him open. Then he was controlling him a bit on the ground. Then Ramaska reversed position, ended up on top, started looking for a triangle choke, eventually scrambled back to his feet. But then Nathan Fletcher ends up finding another takedown with about a minute to go, ends up in full mount, does some damage there. You can tell Ramaska is starting to fade. And then the second round, essentially Fletcher's the fresher fighter, comes out, gets a takedown, gets full mount, lands a couple shots, immediate arm triangle. Ramaska just faded, man. He had those explosive reversals in the first round, but then after that, he was just too tired. He did a lot of damage with that elbow. I mean, he had him bloodied up badly. You could make maybe an argument that he won the first round. I'd actually say he won the first round. Was looking for the triangle, landed some elbows on the takedown, like to the side of the head, landed the elbow when he was on bottom that cut him open, and then looked for those submissions, and then eventually got reversed, and there wasn't a whole lot of crazy damage done from full mount. But the second round, man, the gas tank just wasn't there, so he ends up getting submitted via arm triangle in the second round, but it mainly was just a gas tank issue. I really think he was honestly the better fighter, skill-wise, skill for skill, but if your cardio can't hold up for 10 minutes, you can't win. Ask Braxton Smith. Next fight on the card, we have André Petroski versus Dylan Budka. This is what happens when you sign every fighter from Dana White's Contender Series. I mean, Dylan Budka looked horrible in this fight. He missed weight. He's already lost what? He lost his UFC debut, I believe. Or his second fight. He lost to Cesar Almeida. I think that was his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. Looked like ass on Dana White's Contender Series. He looked like ass against Petroski. Petroski came out, was landing some body kicks, got a takedown, full mount, didn't do a whole lot of damage with it. Second round, basically the same thing. Petroski was kind of grabbing the fence while he had him controlled on the ground, but it really wasn't like a crazy amount. It was like 2 times, and it wasn't like drastically affecting the position, in my opinion, but still annoying. You know, everyone gets to cheat, everyone gets to get away with it. Didn't do a whole lot of damage. Budka's just surviving on the ground, not even trying to get up because he has no cardio, no jiu-jitsu to get up. Third round, Budka kind of has some aggression, but gets, I think it was a single leg to a double leg, took him down. He was doing that multiple times throughout the fight, and then just did some more ground and pound. So Petroski won via decision. I believe it was a 30-27 decision. I don't think any of the judges gave Budka a round, but overall, super uneventful fight. Petroski's cardio didn't look great. His striking didn't look great. He out-grappled him, sure, but Budka, I think he's probably going to find his way out of the UFC very, very soon, and this was an uneventful fight. Next fight on the card, we have Jacqueline Amorim versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I got this pick perfectly, boys. Amorim, first round armbar. There was some controversy here, and it's not completely unwarranted, but basically Amorim was able to get her down, immediately get the full mount, eventually took her back, and eventually found the armbar. But the controversy is, right before the armbar, when she had wrist control, her fingers did dig into the glove a little bit. And right before the armbar happened, instead of Demopoulos worrying about defending, she's screaming about the fingers in the glove when they were really only in there for 2 seconds. Now, it was 2 separate times for 2 seconds, and it probably affected the grappling a little bit, but ultimately I think she was getting subbed anyway. I think what truly caused the sub was the fact that instead of actually paying attention to the fight, she was yelling to the ref, "My glove, my glove, my glove." Boom, she gets armbarred. Jacqueline Amorim has nasty jiu-jitsu. This is exactly what I anticipated. This is exactly what happened. And Demopoulos is complaining, but it's her own fault. It's like, remember when Bisping lost his mouthpiece and was like talking to the ref and then got front kicked and he should have been KO'd by Anderson Silva, but they let him get back up and go on to the next round? That's basically kind of what happened here. I feel like there was an example of this recently where someone's like talking to the ref and getting hit with a shot, for whatever reason. I can't remember what it is. But it's like, why are you worried that much? Like, defend the position. You can complain later. Don't want to get subbed because they aren't overturning anything. So Jacqueline Amorim gets it done. First round armbar, super impressive performance. It's unfortunate that she dug in the glove, but I don't think it was paramount, 100% paramount to the submission. I think she would have gotten it anyway, regardless. Next fight on the card, we have Gabriel Santos versus Yizha. I think is how you pronounce his name. I'm not 100%. I don't remember. Yizha. Look, Gabriel Santos beat the brakes off of him, but it was a fun fight. It was a fun fight. Santos, I believe, was in the first round, flash KO'd him with a nasty front kick to the head, or to the chin, really, like punted him, like basically Michael Chandler against Tony Ferguson. By the way, that's Chandler's last win. Left his family in January this year, but that's besides the point. Was checking leg kicks. Santos was checking leg kicks in the first round. Yizha threw 2 leg kicks where he kind of brought the foot back and was like, those definitely hurt him. He's getting touched up. He got destroyed with the front kick, almost got finished, but was able to survive, was super durable. Like after like the front kick, he went down. There was like maybe a 10, 15 second exchange, then right back to his feet and back to striking and throwing back. Second round, more of the same. Santos like jumping front kick to the body. There was a nasty elbow in the clinch. Santos started to fade towards the end, but clearly won the round as well. I think he landed another front kick in the second round as well, and he bloodied him up in the second round. I mean, Yizha was bleeding in this fight. And then the third round, Yizha was getting aggressive, or Yizha, whatever his name is. But he got taken down, you know. Second round actually got out-grappled as well. So he was losing on the feet, was kind of aggressive, got taken down, controlled. You know, at one point, I think Santos was on his feet, like had him stacked, throwing down ground and pound. Clearly won that second round, beat him on the feet, beat him on the ground. I think it was the beginning of the round where he landed the front kick. But anyway, third round, takedown kind of early. If I'm remembering correctly, Santos controlled him, you know, beat him up on the ground. Towards the end of the third round, Santos got his back, and Yizha decided to do the Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira jump, where he jumped backwards with Santos on his back. So it was a very eventful fight. I mean, Santos beat him up for all 3 rounds, but Yizha was in the fight. I mean, he wasn't completely out of the fight. I know he was getting destroyed, and I know I'm saying he's getting outstruck, he's getting out-grappled, but he's in the fight. He was throwing some shots. He was landing some leg kicks. Not all of them were getting checked, but Santos was just clearly the more skilled fighter and was able to go out there. I mean, he wasn't able to find the finish, but he never really got hurt. He never really took any severe damage. He was checking kicks, landing good shots, landing that front kick that should have put him away. Honestly, would have put a lot of guys away, and gets the win. Next fight on the card, André Lima versus Felipe dos Santos. This fight actually annoys me because I said it in my prediction video. André Lima's a straight up cheater. I almost said tweeting. He was cheating in this fight, grabbing the fence. I think at one point it may be a kick to the groin. I can't remember, an eye poke. I'm not sure 100%, but was cheating in this fight for sure. Grabbing the fence on a takedown, was clinched up and like grabbing the fence like to hold the position a bit. First round was close. I thought Dos Santos won the first round. It was, you know, it could have went either way. Honestly, I don't think the first round was like 100%. But Santos kind of got a hold of him, got in the clinch, was able to like mat return him a couple times, and Lima grabbed the fence once there. And then eventually Lima was able to get back up. There wasn't really any serious control. And then there was a spinning back elbow at the end of the round that I thought landed pretty clean and maybe hurt him. So I favored Santos, but I favored Santos slightly before that as well. So even if the elbow didn't land. But then the second and third round, Santos just got over aggressive. Lima took him down, full mounted him, didn't do any real damage, but just controlled him, was grabbing the fence again in the clinch in that round before the takedown. And then the third round, Santos, you know, got taken down again, controlled a bit. Lima was finding the rear naked choke, but somehow Dos Santos was able to fight out of it. I mean, it was deep multiple times. Looked like it was going to get stopped. Looked like it was going to be a victory via rear naked choke for Lima. But he survives and he goes the distance. So you have André Lima win via unanimous decision. I think it might have been 30-27, honestly. But I thought the first round probably went to Santos, but it was debatable. But I'm just pissed. Lima cheats every single fight. I think this is his third fight in the UFC. Every single fight he's grabbing the fence. Every single fight he has like eye pokes, groin shots, Mitch Rapazio, Servino, who bit him, like, you know, and Lima was cheating multiple times up until that point. So it's even kind of annoying that he got cut in a way. It's all cheating in my opinion. But it just goes to show you in this sport, you can cheat nonstop and it doesn't matter. You're never going to get penalized, so you might as well cheat anyway. Next fight on the card, Isaac Dulgarian versus Brendan Marotte. Isaac Dulgarian came out, ragdolled him to the ground, full mount, had him flattened out, was just destroying him, smashing with big elbows, smashing him with ground and pound, had him flattened out. At one point was looking for the arm triangle. Marotte, while he's being full mounted, while he's flattened out, but he's kind of to a hip. He's not completely flattened out, but he's pretty much flattened out. He's throwing he's throwing elbows from the bottom while he's mounted, flattened out, mounted, like with his face against the ground. He's like going like this and throwing elbows backwards. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I got to say, Marotte was tough as hell, man. He survived that first round. I'm like, is Dulgarian going to gas? We've seen him gas a bit against Christian Rodriguez and get 10-8 in the third round, which ultimately cost him the fight. But nope, Dulgarian comes out, catches a flying knee early, takes him down. Full guard for a little bit. It was like a slam takedown after the flying knee. Full guard for a little bit, eventually moves into full mount, starts landing ground and pound, eventually finds the arm triangle and finishes him in the second round. There's nothing really to say about this fight just because this was such a one-sided matchup. We knew this was going to be an utter and complete domination. That's exactly what it was. I mean, Marotte was durable. He was able to survive, but Dulgarian won and finished him. If Dulgarian would have lost this, I would have said cut him from the organization. But great win, second round arm triangle. Next fight on the card, the featured prelim. Chris Padilla versus Rongzhu. This was a good fight, man. Chris Padilla is actually underrated. Both guys were landing early in the fight. Rongzhu was pressuring, landing good kicks. I thought that Rongzhu clearly won the first round, was landing better shots, was kind of pressuring. Padilla was just kind of backing up, circling, landed some shots of his own. Second round, Rongzhu was starting to slow down, but still landing some good leg kicks. And there was a moment where they were clinched up where he was just ripping to the body over and over and over again. I thought he was winning the second round. And then while he's coming in, Chris Padilla lands the nastiest elbow right on his eyeball. It's a broken orbital or something's wrong with his eye. It looked like his eye was coming out of his head, looked like a golf ball. And he starts pointing at him like he got poked in the eye. He doesn't even realize what happened. And Padilla starts pointing to his elbow. The ref doesn't stop it. Thank God we didn't have a horrible ref. And I'm looking at the eye. As soon as we got a good angle on the eye, I'm like, oh, this is getting stopped in between rounds. If not, right now. And the ref finally gets like a better angle on it. He stops the fight. He has the doctor come in. You can immediately tell it's going to get stopped. There's literally like a golf. It looks like his eyeball's outside of his eye. Basically a golf ball underneath the eyelid. He can't see it all. It's completely shut. They wave it off. Chris Padilla, second round TKO. And honestly, he didn't look bad. I know I said he was losing. He didn't look bad in the fight. It was good movement, good lateral movement. You know, he was landing some shots of his own, landing some leg kicks of his own as well. And, you know, even though I thought he was getting outstruck, I thought he was looking decent. So this is the second time. I think his last fight, he was kind of an underdog as well. Nobody thought he could win that fight either. He comes in against a game Rongzhu, and he goes out there and TKOs him in the second round with a filthy elbow. I mean, that elbow was absolutely nasty. And honestly, I'm worried. I want to hear a medical update on Rongzhu. I think that there's a chance there could be something seriously wrong. It's definitely a broken orbital. It has to be. But it looked like the eyeball was almost out of the socket, and it landed like right on the eye. It's not like it landed here. It's not like it landed here. It landed right here almost. It landed on the outside coming in like that way, like a point of the elbow. So I'm actually worried about that. I mean, it looked pretty sick. It looked pretty nasty, but Chris Padilla gets a second round TKO and wins the fight. Great win for Chris Padilla. Next fight on the card, first fight on the main card, we have Yanal Ashmouz versus Trevor Peek. Yanal Ashmouz gets it done via decision. I forgot who it was. Somebody called me a casual for picking Yanal Ashmouz. But Peek's just not that good. The first round was close. I thought Ashmouz just had a little bit more control time in the clinch. He would get the back mount and then kind of drag him to the ground, and he'd get back up and control him. And that was basically the story of the fight. I mean, Peek would land some jabs. Ashmouz would, eventually find the clinch, maybe land a couple big shots. I think it was in the second round. Maybe he landed a big right hand. But actually, I think it was in the third round where he landed a big shot. But second round, getting out grappled. It wasn't anything crazy. There were some knees in the clinch from both guys, some dirty boxing. Then at the end of the round, Ashmouz got him down, landed some good ground and pound, like at the tail end of the second round. Third round, Peek was doing okay, landed some jabs. Eventually, Ashmouz starts grappling again. Peek was trying to defend with his life, and finally, you could tell it was like his last bit of energy to defend this takedown. He gets back to the center. Ashmouz rocks him, and then Trevor Peek has to clinch, and then he eventually gets taken down again, eats some more ground and pound. I scored all 3 rounds for Yanal Ashmouz. Man, I hate to say it, but Trevor Peek, I don't know if he's going to be any more than a main eventer for the Kentucky State Fair. And I like Trevor Peek, and he seemed like a little bit more careful in this fight. He wasn't fighting as crazy, but Ashmouz was able to just move and avoid the big shots, and find the grappling. And honestly, I don't think Ashmouz is that good. Hands low, movement isn't great, striking isn't amazing, grappling isn't amazing. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. And he beats Trevor Peek, which I know we all like Trevor Peek, but yes, it just wasn't overall a good fight. But that's because, you know, of course, you're not going to brawl with Trevor Peek. You're just not going to do that. So Ashmouz basically won in the clinch here. Had some takedowns, had some control, little flurries towards the end of the rounds. Like he would get him down and kind of relinquish control a little bit and start letting loose with a little bit of ground and pound. He won second and third round basically doing that. Had rocked him in the third round when they broke. That was probably the biggest moment of the fight, but it's not like he was hurt badly. And Yanal Ashmouz wins via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Cody Durden versus Matt Schnell. Crazy first round. Barn burner of a first round. I mean, back and forth, crazy shots. I think that Durden probably won the first round. I thought he landed better shots. I thought he did a little bit more visible damage, kind of bloodied up. They were both bloodied up by the end of the first round, but Matt Schnell more bloodied up. I thought he kind of rattled Matt Schnell a couple times where Schnell landed big shots, but Durden just ate it and kept pressing forward. But I thought the first round was close, but I scored it for Durden. Second round, and you know what's crazy? The commentary team's like, yeah, Schnell just looks so crisp, and they're acting like Schnell is outclassing him. Meanwhile, I'm scoring the first round for Durden. Second round, basically Schnell shoots a takedown immediately and gets ninja choked. It was a deep choke. He tried to scramble out. Eventually, he's in there in such a bad position, and it's so tight that he taps with both hands because you had the full body weight of Cody Durden on him as well. So I think Matt Schnell laid his gloves down before he left the cage. They didn't give him an interview. I don't know if that's because he left too early or they didn't want to offer him an interview. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's crazy. This is the flyweight division. I mean, Usyk got a title shot off of beating Matt Schnell. It's craziness. And I think that kind of overrated Usyk a bit. And I think that's why he ultimately lost to Pantoja and they lost to Kai Kara France. That's why I picked against him in both of those fights. Because I'm like, Matt Schnell's kind of chinny. His chin held up in this fight, though. His chin held up in this fight. But Cody Durden finds the choke. I don't know why Schnell would shoot like that. And it was like a far away takedown where it was easily sprawled. And then Durden slapped on that choke immediately. Like he found it so quickly. It was like when Islam finally decided to go for, was it a Darce choke he went for in their fight against Dustin Poirier? Like the way he just snatched it up real quick out of nowhere almost. I mean, I don't want to compare Cody Durden and Islam Makhachev. Let me stop right now. But you get the point. It was a razor. He snapped it on razor quick. It was super tight. Matt Schnell was already kind of tired, busted up, couldn't escape. Great win for Cody Durden. And he gets it done via second round ninja choke. Featured fight on the card, Kyle Nelson, Steve Garcia. A little bit of controversy in this fight as well. Garcia stumbles early, gives up his back. Kyle Nelson has his back, both hooks in. At one point has the body triangle and both hooks, kind of had loose both hooks. Steve Garcia gets 2-on-1 and then goes to turn into Kyle Nelson. As he does that, Kyle Nelson realizes he's losing the position, decides to go for an armbar that's really not there. Steve Garcia starts landing some hammer fist because of the fact that Kyle Nelson's kind of holding on to that armbar, even though it's not there, and then just starts smashing him with elbows and shots. And then there's one shot, and the replay team and the commentary team was horrible. And I felt like they were glossing over. There was one heavy elbow that started, that I felt like really rocked Kyle Nelson. That kind of began the true finishing sequence. And after that elbow, it's like Garcia just went crazy, just started smashing him. At one point, he was seated up against the fence, landed another elbow, and then just smashed him with ground and pound. Eventually got the TKO in the first round. But even, I mean, on the replay, they only showed it for a split second. It was a horrible replay. It looked like it landed almost dead center of the back of the head, just a little bit off center, but still in that mohawk region. And then even after the fight, Kyle Nelson has a massive lump right dead center on the back of his head. You know, again, basically the bump was exactly where the elbow was. And Mark Smith was the referee, I believe. So Steve Garcia better count his days. He got lucky as hell that he didn't get DQ'd in that fight. And Mark Smith was even saying, watch the back of the head a couple times. It wasn't intentional. They were scrambling around, but at the end of the day, you know, I don't know what they do. I doubt it'll be overturned in any universe, but it is worth noting at least. I think Steve Garcia beats Kyle Nelson. I would pick him again to TKO Kyle Nelson. But it still is a little bit unfortunate that that elbow did begin the finishing sequence, truly begin it. Because that's really when Kyle Nelson started shelling up bad on the ground. But Garcia is such a savage, man. He smells blood in the water. He's just looking for the finish. So great win for Steve Garcia. especially after making a mistake in the first round and giving up his back. It wasn't looking that great for him, but I was saying it when I was watching it live. I said he always likes to make it a little bit tough, and then he finds a way to get the finish. So great win from Steve Garcia, a little bit of controversy, but ultimately I don't think it means all that much. Next fight on the card, Natália Silva versus Jessica Andrade, the co-main event. I mean, this fight, I scored at 30-27 for Natália Silva. It was basically Andrade just plotting forward, throwing big shots, looking for big power shots, and like connecting on some of them, but Natália Silva just touching her up with the jab and lateral movement, side kick to the body. I can't remember what. I think it was first round. Kicked her down and like had Andrade crawling back up from the mat because it caught her so good. And they showed the replay after the round, and it was a solid body kick. But Natália Silva was having some trouble keeping Jessica Andrade off of her, okay? And it's crazy to me that you could see, even though Natália Silva was clearly winning, you could almost see some shock on her face because Andrade was really pressuring her and cutting her off. And Natália would land like a big shot or like a side kick to the face. And she thought in her mind, she's like, okay, I got a moment now to breathe because I just hit her with a big shot. And then she couldn't realize, she couldn't even comprehend. It was like Andrade was still trucking forward. Now, I had Natália Silva winning all 3 rounds. Third round, maybe you could give to Andrade. She had a late flurry, was really going desperate for the KO. Second and third round, she was really looking for a couple takedowns here and there. Andrade got hurt to the eye. That's the one time she backed off in the second round. She got caught with a punch to the eye and kind of backed up, and her eye was kind of swollen. But the entire fight, she was just marching forward, looking for a KO, and Natália Silva, side-to-side lateral movement, piecing her up with combinations. And, I know some people in Discord love looking at Jessica Andrade's nudes, but, I think she might head back to that career. So they might be excited for that because I think this is probably the end of Jessica Andrade. I don't know if she's going to retire. She'll probably still show up for paychecks. But I think, at this point she's losing to Natália Silva. Not that Silva's bad, but what are you going to be, a gatekeeper? I don't know how much money she's making on OnlyFans. I know some people will probably coax her back. But it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say what's next for Jessica Andrade. Natália Silva undoubtedly maybe one fight away from title contention, I would say. So it's just kind of, it's crazy how you see these veterans lose to kind of these young up and coming fighters. And Andrade is only 32 years old, but she's been around forever. And it's just like, it's the fork in the road where Jessica Andrade's MMA career may be coming to an end. And I know that's being a bit hyperbolic. And then you have Natália Silva kind of making her way towards the title. But overall, great performance from Natália Silva. Jessica Andrade, I'm sure she can still compete. Maybe she goes back down the strawweight. Maybe she goes back to that OnlyFans career, to some people's absolute elation. And, I don't know. Natália Silva gets it done. Great performance from Natália Silva. Main event, Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns. Maybe I'm crazy. I haven't really gauged fan reaction too much. Not a great main event. Sean Brady, the stats they were showing on screen were crazy. They were like, oh yeah, Sean Brady's outlanding this much. He was throwing combinations. Don't get me wrong. He was landing some shots, but a lot of them were just landing on the guard, and then he'd clinch up with Gilbert Burns and not get a takedown and not do a whole lot of damage on the feet. And it was just I don't know. It was just kind of a lackluster fight. I enjoyed it while watching it live, but thinking back on it. Now, ultimately, second round. First round was clearly Brady, in my opinion. They both got kind of brief takedowns, but Brady had better combinations, was landing better on the feet, and it was kind of a clinch fest, and Brady had the positional control. Second round, Brady landed a body kick and then got caught with a right hand that kind of hurt him. And then Brady had some, control time, and I think they both had a takedown in the second round as well, and there was some clinch work. But then Burns caught him with another right hand that kind of stumbled him. So I thought, okay, the judges probably gave Brady second round, but I thought you could make a case for Burns, maybe. And then the third round, I thought Burns kind of came on strong last minute and stole the third round. Fourth round was both guys cup shot each other. I thought at the end of the third round, I thought Brady's really starting to fade bad. And they both kicked each other in the nuts to start off the fourth round. So they both got a breather, which I think was massively advantageous to Brady. And, it was a close fourth round. There wasn't a whole lot of damage, but I thought Brady probably took the fourth round. Fifth round, another groin shot, another breather. I think Brady, it was a light, knee to the body where a groin shot landed. Burns kind of landed a flying knee. They didn't show a good replay, so I don't know how good at landing. And then Brady basically grappled for the rest of the round and had control time. So basically, I scored it. Like, the only round that I truly thought Burns won was round 3, and even that was debatable. So I pretty much had it 49-46. I think 2 judges had it 50-45 for Brady. I don't hate those scorecards, but I thought 3 was pretty clearly Burns. But what this fight showed me is Brady's cardio is still kind of an issue. Burns has definitely regressed. His cardio isn't what it used to be. Brady's striking has definitely improved. I will give him that, but his chin is there to be had. He's talking about potentially fighting Ian Machado Gary afterwards. I don't know if he beats Gary. He's going to have to out-grapple him, and Gary has really solid grappling, and Gary's definitely a superior striker. The JDM fight for Brady's super interesting because he has a massive grappling advantage over JDM. So I don't know what's going to be next for Sean Brady. I think Bilal would absolutely starch him in another fight. You know, he already beat him the first time, finished him the first time. I think Bilal would beat him again. Brady was really sucking for air in that 4th and 5th round, and Burns just couldn't take advantage of it. It's like Burns would wait. You know what Burns reminded me of in this fight? Burns reminded me of Jorge Masvidal in his last fight against Gilbert Burns. Just kind of looked sluggish. Cardio didn't look as good as it once did. He was able to stuff the takedowns for the most part. When he did get taken down, he would reverse. I think only 2 times he got controlled for any period of time. I think round 5, like the last 45 seconds were like scrambles with Burns on the bottom. But, you know, it's just Gilbert, younger. He clearly wasn't the stronger fighter. Brady was definitely stronger. And it was just, you know, I think it's time for Burns. He took off his gloves. I thought he was going to retire afterwards, but he didn't. But Brady just, you know, kind of won in the clinch and had some combinations. There was really never any huge shots. The jab was working for Brady quite a bit. Landed that one really solid body kick, I believe, in the second round. And really I don't know what to make of the performance, you know? Like, is it better than JDM's performance against Burns? Kind of, because Burns was winning that fight and then got KO'd late. But I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, Sean Brady won, so that means Burns is washed up. Because actually, I was high on Sean Brady at one point in time. But I feel like Burns definitely regressed, but I still think it's a solid win for Brady. I still think Brady has probably 2 big fights to win before he's up towards the top of the division, like a JDM or a Shavkat or a Ian Machado Gary or a Kamaru Usman. He has to beat one of those guys, and then maybe a title shot or maybe one more fight. Like if we're to fight Gary, beat Gary, probably one more fight after that. It all depends how the division shakes out. It all depends who's the champion at the time, because I don't think he's going to get a Bilal rematch anytime soon. But I think he definitely has to work on the cardio. Grappling is good. Obviously, it's going to be hard to out-grapple Gilbert Burns, which he really wasn't able to do sufficiently in this fight. And this was just kind of a weird style matchup for him, because Burns is a tough matchup, good striking. Striking didn't look good. He's just looking for one shot the entire fight. That's what he did. He looked for one punch KOs the entire fight. And Burns doesn't have that nuclear Rumble Johnson power. Rest his soul. So Brady gets it done. Not super impressed by it, but still a solid win. The only reason I'm even mentioning that is because Michael Bisping was like, this is a masterclass performance by Sean Brady. This is a once in a lifetime performance. Maybe I misheard him or something. But he was acting like, I'm trying to think of a performance that you could use to describe it as he was acting like Sean Brady put on the fight that O'Malley put on against Aljo, which was flawless. And I know that was a finish, so that's a bit of a weird comparison. TJ Dillashaw, Henan Barral won. Okay, if you know, you know. That's what he was kind of acting like. But Bisping's horrible commentary. Overall, solid card. I think it kind of under-delivered. You know, I had high expectations for this card. But main card was really solid. Only the Trevor Peak fight wasn't amazing. So I enjoyed the card. Sean Brady, the young eats the old, perpetually eats we see it all the time. The old, you know, this sport's a young man's game, and the young perpetually eat the old. And I tell you guys this all the time. We have to appreciate these guys when they're in their special moment in time. And Gilbert Burns, I think that special moment in time was really 2020, man. I really think it was 2020. You go back to 2019, 2020. He beats Damian Maia, KOs Damian Maia. I believe that was on short notice. Goes out there on short notice against Tyron Woodley. Dominates Tyron Woodley, which at the time had just lost his title. Then gets the Kamaru Usman fight. Was supposed to get the Kamaru Usman fight, had COVID. I was actually going to pick him against Kamaru Usman if he fought him the first time. Didn't pick against him when he ultimately fought. Hurt Kamaru Usman. Could have won the title and then loses. Gets finished by a jab. Has the crazy matchup with Hamzat Chimaev where he loses. You know, I think that was kind of his special moment in time. I think Burns is kind of on the fall off now. So it's sad to see, but we have some fresh blood at the top of the division, the welterweight division. JDM, Sean Brady, Ian Machado, Gary. Bilal has the title now. He's willing to be active. He's making welterweight great again. So overall, good performance by Sean Brady. Not super impressive. Can't wait to see what's next for him. Gilbert Burns is kind of now like the gatekeeper in the top 10, I would say. But let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm probably doing a Bellator stream after this, so apologies if there's no like picture edits in this video. Join me for that live stream. I may be live now as you're watching this video. Thank you for watching, and good night.